Are you gonna sign for us today? Because I can't hear your voice.
Oh,
Oh, there you are.
I can hear her voice.
can you hear me now?
Now I can, yeah.
Oh, I
I
guess
thought you were
speaking directly.
gonna. How have you been, Mary?
Okay. Having a little bit of a difficulty getting around these days, so life is a little bit different, but hopefully that will change soon. Not
Would you
sure
like
what
to-
that is. I'm
you wanna
walking
give-
with a walker, so
Oh.
Oh, goodness.
What's going on?
I don't know. My left knee is very painful and I can't really stand on it.
Oh, goodness.
So I think I went to see the doctor a couple weeks ago and she was like, well, need to work on your core. And so we'll start physical therapy. And it has just gone down from there. So
Did they examine or give you any sort of feedback on the knee joint?
Yes and no. She doesn't remember talking about my knee. So it was mostly my back, since that is usually the source of everything. And so now I'm having to backtrack a little bit and say, yeah, we did talk about my knee. So how about let's figure this out. This is getting old.
Oh, that sounds frustrating. Do you have a good PT that you like, or?
No, I do have one that I love, and I will see her next month, but she was all full up. So I'm seeing somebody else. And after this is about the third week, I finally got the piece of paper out of my purse that he had given me with the things that I should be working on. And it was completely and utterly useless. It was, yeah, we'll do the exercises that you've been doing with the pinks for the workout, which I told him I can't do. It was sort of like,
Yeah, that's super.
I should have gotten the paper out 3 weeks ago when he gave it to me, but so anyway.
So maybe if Chris and I think I'm going to speak for him as well, and he can add into this, but as you go through this and you get back to the person that you enjoy, and hopefully that helps you. We also have I feel like a very good contact for someone who is so knowledgeable. And we can send you that information. He's over in the Northeast. No, he's in the
Northwest.
Actually, Chris just went to see him last week. But the guy is one of those like rare birds that you're like, how can he just knows so much.
He's very type A, and which he'll admit to, but not during your appointment, but in general, but he just knows everything about the body. It's just one of those,
I would love
in
that.
our 30 years of seeing people, there's only one other person you go in, he's like, yeah, this is what you're dealing with. And it's pretty quick.
So if he actually were to say like, oh yeah, it's your knee, but it's actually, from your hip, he would help you remedy that whole situation, right? Because you still have knee pain. So,
Right.
But he's just recently started taking insurance and stuff, so there might be some help with that. But he's definitely someone that, and if you do the exercises, he will tell you what to do. Our good friend also saw him, and I know this is going to sound like a long time, but like it took him like 10 to 12 months to get rid of his back pain, but he hasn't had any since.
You know what? If it has been 30 years that I've had mine, that I've lived with back pain, and if they could do anything about that, that would be great. I'm convinced that it's from my back, and it's like the back's weak, then the hips get it, then it's like everything goes downhill. So yes,
that makes sense.
Love that contact. That would be
he would do a good full.
You too. You too. You want to know? Yeah, I feel like the thing is that it's one thing to know that it's a physical part of your body that's the problem, and then it's a deeper answer to know how can I best work with the body that I have, and not have to accept the fact that I'm always in pain and that's just the way it is. Sort of idea. So, and not to say that he's a miracle worker, because like I said, it can take a year,
especially with back stuff. I remember a guy I saw who was very much like this guy, Luke, 20 years ago. He's like, look at by the time you got to me, your back pain you've been dealing with it for a year or two. So not 30. he's like, you cannot expect it to be fixed in a month. He's like,
Correct.
it's so, but just another kind of weird analogy that we had, a friend went to see him after dealing with knee pain, probably different than what you're, she's a runner. She's like, my knee hurts all the time when I run. And, you know, Dawn and I would ask her questions and, you know, it sounded like it was meniscus or something like that. So she went and saw him once and he's like, your knee is fine. It's your IT band, which runs from your hip to your knee.
Yeah.
She
mine's very
wasn't showing,
tight.
she wasn't showing any symptoms to us about that, not talking about it. But he's like, you're so tight there that it was pulling her knee out of whack.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and that's a rarity to say like one time you can go in, but I think
Right.
it's that sort of level of like
It's
he said, in 30 years of like working with different people in Portland, this is only the second person we've ever met. And the first guy doesn't practice anymore. Like, I feel like these are just a dime, you know,
If
they're just
you find
not.
those gems, it's worth,
Yeah.
yeah. And if you'd be willing to share that, that
Yeah.
would be great. Yeah,
So
thank
we'll
you.
send that over.
It's making Dana's next step.
I will send
probably
it to you,
didn't-
Laurel, because it's a
don't think you
long
heard-
flight. It's a long distance.
Wow.
And for stuff for your back, neck, back.
It's my shoulder still. Your hitchhiker thumb, they work really great. And then I'll sleep on it wrong, or it just is kind of, it's become one of those chronic things. And
Yeah.
I think I do, you know, I saw orthodoc and I've had 2 injections and the first one worked really well. The second one really didn't do shit. And I'd like to know what's going on, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's mechanics too, right? Like, I mean, Chris just went in for, you know, front side pain. Well, of course, it wasn't that. It's just like second rib up here, right? So
Oh,
it's-
God. Yeah. Don't get me
Yeah, he
started on
works-
whipping out. That hurts.
Yeah,
It's
he
like
worked
being
on my
fat.
rib a little bit.
What is his designation? Is he an orthopedic doctor? What is?
No, he's a PT.
Natural healer?
No, he's a PT. I'll send you his link. And he's just one of those people. He geeks out on this stuff. It's what he loves. I mean, it's to the
Good.
point where you know, like when I went and saw him, he's like, because I've been having pec pain. And he's like, yeah, it's your pec minor's basically the weak point. He's like, your rib is putting pressure on, it's holding it. And, you know, you've got your ulnar nerve and your medial and your radial nerves are all, he was doing all these nerve tests on me.
Hip bone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he basically walked me through these, knowing what my answer was going to be. He's like, because I told him I got this pain down my arm, which is of course alarming. He's like, yeah, that's coming from up here in the back of your neck and running all the way down the inside of your hand. And
Yeah.
that's where I'm the tightest. So he would do this weird stretch for me. He's like, how does that feel? I'm like, oh, that's really, and he likes to use the word spicy. I'm like, that's really spicy. Where the other side was like, yeah, I could feel it. It just felt like a stretch.
Yeah.
So
I love it because his name of his business is called Stay Unbroken.
Oh, I like
Mm.
that.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's what we need to be striving for the next however
Yeah.
many.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the thing to go into with is just be open-minded and then also just be willing to be like, okay, so I need to do these every day. Like it's going to take me 20 minutes a day to do all my stuff or 30 minutes a day. And
I would
then
do it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would do anything.
I
at
think
this
that's
point.
the key. Most people aren't willing to do it. I think in general, I mean, there's good
Yeah.
intention, but so yeah,
Yeah.
he's sending it to you right now. Hey, Forrest Elf,
Yes.
guess where I went today?
Where?
That's okay, I'll tell you. It's called R&R New Options, and it's a horse rescue place.
Mm.
It's my 4th visit. I reached out to some places when I came back from Michigan, knowing that I needed to be around horses. And so it's out on 211, just a couple miles outside of Sandy, actually by Joe's Donuts, not too far. And it's super cool. She's got like between 25 and 30 horses. She's been doing it, I think, for like 30 years. She's got a couple smaller locations that people have horses, and then this is her main location. I didn't know horses could be well into their 30s. So to all sorts of different horses that she has. She runs a volunteer program that mostly consists of kids. She has about 30 of them, and then a few adults that show up, and it's been super fun. So, you know, like bringing them in and feeding them and watering them and giving them hay and today I actually got to lift hay bales, which was super exciting for me because, hay.
Yes.
I mean, what's not to like about moving a hay bale?
No kidding.
Smelling hay.
So
Salad, yeah.
you're just do you sign up to volunteer with her?
Yeah, it's so laid back. She's awesome in the sense that well, always know where you stand with her. She's pretty blunt and pretty, and at the same time, she's like, hey, whenever you can get here, that's what we want. I don't need you to commit to every day. I don't need you to commit to everything. Just let me know when you're gonna come out.
Yeah.
And so, I feel like there's realistic expectations when you hear that. You don't feel like, because when you say you're gonna volunteer, now you're gonna commit every Sunday or whatever, and then things come
Yeah.
up and I don't feel that sort of pressure at all. And there's no obligation for, how little or long, that you stay. It's just really cool. It's really fun. The second day it wasn't as exciting, but it was still fun because, it's new, but I had to go out into the pasture and dig up this, I don't even know the name of the plant, this plant that's poisonous for horses apparently, and it's all over the pasture. It's, so.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Is she short on volunteers? Does she need help?
always needs help, I think, in
Yeah.
general.
I think those hardcore horsewomen, women that have devoted their lives to horses, and I've known a couple of them, they are very blunt and very straightforward. And I think it comes from relating to horses.
Yeah.
Horses are kind of black and white in a lot of ways.
I just humbled right down because, I always used to think I grew up on ponies and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I know so little about horses and ponies.
Yeah.
And she's I've just never seen horses communicate as much as all of these horses do. And obviously that's something that she fosters herself and then fosters with the volunteers. But the communication is just almost laughable. I mean, they're basically talking to you with what they do.
That. You know what? I would love to meet you out there one afternoon or whenever
Absolutely, you can do that. Yep.
Just let me know when you're going next time. And if I can, I'll meet you out there and
Tomorrow?
I guess I can text her and say
Tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah, it would be super
kidding.
cool for you to go out there. Yeah, and then you could get a sense of what that is. And if you were interested in volunteer, it could look anywhere. Like today I went out because they needed extra help. I've been going out the last 3 Sundays.
Yeah.
But yesterday she asked if I could come out this morning and yeah.
Yeah, sometimes in the summertime, the studio downtown, because it's got those west facing windows, like late July and August, it is like a sauna and it's really hard to work inside. So I find that July and August, I'm not working as much in the studio, so I could be outside with horses.
Yeah, and there's always, there's always something to do with the barn. There's always weeds is a thing that will never go away. So that will always be there. But the oldest horse, I think she
And
has.
there's always horse stalls to clean, yeah?
Oh,
Every day.
God.
Yeah, well, she keeps them out in pasture. She brings them in every day and feeds them and stuff. So it's not there's some
It's
people
not
that
all shoveling shit.
No.
I figured if
No.
she had that many horses that they spent most of their time out in the pasture.
Yeah.
Yeah, shoveling horse shit is a lot harder than you'd think it is.
Yeah.
And it gets old really fast.
Yeah, I've had enough experience. I don't feel like I need more of that experience. Pretty
Yeah.
good with learning about horses. But she has, I think we were doing that math today. There is a horse that's 39.
Oh, that is amazing.
Wow.
That is
I didn't
really amazing.
know horses could live that long. And so another woman who was volunteering today, she's been there 16 years. She told me that, and I didn't know this either, but horses lose their teeth in their mid-20s. Just naturally, they lose them. And so most people don't know how to care for them nutritionally. And so most of them end up getting weaker and weaker just for that matter. But she's like, no, if you can, you basically feed them mush. But yeah, 39.
I didn't realize they all lost their teeth.
Yeah.
It'd be really easy to get an abscess and die if you were a wild horse.
Yes.
I mean, if
Yeah.
you're getting older and your teeth are bad and it would be easy. I would love to do that. I miss horses a lot. I think about them all the time.
Yeah, so was I. That's why I had to get out there. So that's the horse talk hour. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Hey, Dawn.
After a year, we found a new subject.
No.
We do.
We never
There's
talked about horses before.
Just one time, David.
Yeah, well, you weren't.
Yeah, we
talking
did talk about it
UFOs
before.
before either, and I missed that.
The
I'm
what? Oh,
sorry.
UFOs, I know.
Yeah, that was out of the blue. I didn't.
That's
See
a
that
random.
coming?
You didn't see that one coming, huh,
I
Rose?
didn't see that coming. And had a VW sign. No,
I just think that's a fascinating subject. And, you know, I think
Horses?
both horses and UFOs.
horses and UFOs, UFO
Yeah.
horses.
Flying horses.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff out there that we don't understand and that we can't explain. And I
Mhm.
think, you know, to have an open mind and to keep your eyes open. And I'm a sky watcher at night. I'm sure a lot of you are too, when you can be out where you can see the
You
stars.
can
And
see it.
yeah, I mean, it's changed a lot since we were kids too. There's a shit ton of satellites. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Did you see
Yeah.
Prineville Reservoir area became the first night sky in Oregon?
Oh, really?
Just recently.
Oh, they're
Kinda like
designated
Idaho.
dark sky area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dark
Peter,
sky.
Dark sky. Yeah.
Peter and I made a reservation out at Lake Simtustus in Madras, which is like at the top end of the dark sky area. And we're gonna take his big telescope out there, and we rented a
Mm.
tiny house.
Nice.
So we're gonna stay in a tiny house and see if we can see some good stars,
UFOs.
UFOs.
Cool.
There's a
Uh,
place in Scotland, the National Night Sky Observatory or something.
Yes.
Yeah, a friend of mine, a very nice guy called Matt Gaw, has written a really nice book about being out in the real dark. It's a super nice book, but I hadn't heard about this observatory in Scotland. I think it's called is it the Dark Sky
I
Observatory?
think I remember you saying something and I looked it up.
Yeah. Actually, I think you did mention
There's-
this before. Yeah.
It's
He wrote a book about it? About
Well, no, his book, the observatory is called the Scottish Dark Sky Observatory near Lochdoon, and Matt's book is called. Well, he's written two books. He's a nature writer. His book is Under the Stars: A Journey into Light.
Oh. And have you read it?
It
Yeah,
does
I've read it.
pretty easy to get to. I mean, it's not like it's way far up north.
No,
'cause
it's not so
It's
bad.
just-
Yeah.
over the border, right? I added that to my list.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I'd love to go there. And
Have
and
you,
it's- yeah,
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
no, go on.
I was gonna ask if you've ever been to the Isle of Man.
Nah. Didn't see much point really. No,
Well, if it was the Isle of Woman, would you have gone?
if it was no, probably not either. I don't think it's a kind of a tax haven.
Mm.
So people don't really go there for their holidays. I don't think it's that exciting. My dad worked there one summer when he was a teenager. But it's not, I don't think it's that riveting. Maybe it is. Maybe you know something about it. I don't know.
They have some interesting archaeology that I wouldn't mind having a peek at.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, it would, obviously you wouldn't stay for too long. I mean, maybe 2 nights at the most to drive
Yeah.
and then see what you got to see and then head either east or west to Ireland or Scotland.
Yeah, exactly. There are other islands that are, there's Sark, which is really interesting. And then there's one in the Bristol Channel, which I'm always wanting to go to. It doesn't allow cars. I forget the name of it again. It's really, and
That's a pretty
Sark
new
is lovely.
book.
because they don't have
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
interested in going to the Channel Islands as well. They're supposed to have some old megalithic sites. And they just
Yeah.
look,
Guernsey's supposed to be very nice.
I always pick places that are not easy to get to. I don't know what the fuck my problem is.
Well, that makes it an adventure, right? I mean, you don't
True.
want to.
Well, Easter
Choose.
Island's still on my list.
Yeah,
Ooh,
exactly. That's a bit harder.
there you go. That's funny. We should all share our top 5 travel.
But I'm gonna build a ship and go there, kind of like Thor did. Thor, what that guy's name is, like Kontiki.
Oh
Mr.
yeah,
Hacksaw.
Thor hired him. Yeah. And I mean, do you think it's because, well, of course, you guys have never really been properly locked down, but I think we're all a bit obsessed with talking about where we're going to go because
Oh, yeah. I
we're
have,
beginning
well,
to be allowed to go places.
I have my maps. Yes, I think I'm about to break out a new map. Spain has been on my, so I'm digging through my maps at the studio to see if I've got to have a map of Spain somewhere and put that up. Yeah, I've been fantasizing a lot about where I want to go. It's
Yeah.
been difficult,
Yeah.
but I'm glad you guys are out. You're able to move around a little bit. I saw you went to Burford.
Yeah. We're allowed. I mean, we've always been allowed. We've never had like a restriction on. Well, we did initially last year, but this year we've been allowed to kind of travel within a reasonable distances from our houses. And Burford's only like 20-minute drive away. But I'd never been to the sculpture park before. But yeah, they're putting more countries on a list. So Portugal and the Falkland Islands. The Falkland Islands.
That's fucking hilarious.
Who wants to go to the Falkland Islands, for God's sake? It costs about £8,000 to get there. So yeah, no, but they do think that by June, France and Italy and Spain will be on the travel list.
That's good. I was tickled when you said you were in Burford. I didn't know there was a sculpture garden there because Peter and I had gone on our last trip. My many greats grandfather Jones was born in Swinbrook, just down the road.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So we just cruised up. It's so beautiful.
That's where the sculpture park is. It's like a mile from Swinbrook. It's called Asthall Manor.
Yeah.
And I think it was the home of the Mitford sisters. You remember, like, yeah, is it?
Yeah, there's some Mitfords buried in the Swinbrook churchyard. I didn't even realize that. I knew that, and I didn't think about it until I got there, and I was like, "Wait a minute, this is where the Nazi lovers."
Yeah. So, the Mitford sisters. So you're kind of walking around the house, like all these sculptures are like there were 200 sculptures in around the house and in the garden. Yeah.
Is that an installation or is it permanent?
It's just an installation. It happens every May.
You know, I know when we went to a couple of trips ago, we went up to, oh shit, why can't I remember Winston Churchill's fucking house.
Blenheim.
Oh, that place.
Yeah, they had a huge art installation by a Spanish artist. And I just didn't realize that the big houses were doing things like that. It must be a really great way to make money.
It sure is. I mean, Blenheim had a Weiwei about 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was
A Weiwei?
amazing. Yeah.
Ai Weiwei.
Ai Weiwei, the Chinese artist, and he had
Oh.
he
Why?
Ai Weiwei. Sorry, I probably said it wrong.
No, you said it just sounded like something a little kid would say. I've got a way.
Ai Weiwei.
Ai Weiwei. Yeah.
Yeah, your way.
Actually, today I was just watching his film about refugees, which I hadn't seen before. I was just watching it for work today. Yeah, no, I think that is a way of bringing in more people by having these exhibitions. But I just sent the link to the house and the garden.
Oh, good. I'll have
Yeah.
to check that next time because we ran out of time and we didn't get to go to the cathedral or the main church in Burford. So that would be interesting to see what kind of records they have there. Where else did we go? We went to Broughton Manor on one of our trips, and they also had some really interesting stuff going on. They had a big car show, I guess, out on the lawn, but I didn't realize how many movies they'd filmed there. When I was inside, I was like, wait a minute, I feel like I've been here before.
What's the name of the house?
It's up near Banbury, Broughton Manor.
Oh, Broughton Manor. Yeah, I've never been there either. I've heard about it, but I haven't been there.
It's cool. I love all those old houses. Just fun. They feel like they've got little ghosts around every corner.
Yeah.
Or stuff. I feel like you've lived like a million lives because
Yeah.
every time something is mentioned here, it's like, oh yeah, like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Well,
it's so true.
Travel. I love to travel, and I'm a big time nerd. I'm gonna look for the places that people don't want to go, or
But you're remembering all of it. That's what's amazing. And you have a lot. It's not just that, like going to the places that you just know about everything. It seems like. Is everyone in agreement here? Like someone brings up
Yeah.
a topic.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of shit that I've forgotten that happened a long time ago.
Well, it's not showing up here.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Exactly.
I guess my brain is very active as far as traveling and wanting to get out now. We're
Yeah.
working on trying to get Peter into Australia, and we are being thwarted at every turn.
Yeah.
Really shitty.
I thought there was an idea thrown out to you about local health.
Yeah, we looked at, there's really no way that he would be able to do it at this point
Mm.
without quarantining, and he would have to get special permission from the government to bypass their hotels and go to his friend Paul's house. And, you know, and he'd have to stay there for 2 weeks, even though he's been vaccinated.
That's
So,
Yeah.
and it's just, it would be, and I told him too, I'm like, I'm just worried that it would be too much for you health-wise. I just really, let's just wait, let's be patient. And hopefully by the end of the summer, he'll be able to go. But his mom she's declining quickly,
Oh, really?
little
Yeah.
hard.
Mm.
Yeah. So shit,
So I guess he wants to get back as soon as he can then, right?
Yeah.
he does, he really does. So it's frustrating. And then he was telling me too, that Australia is, I think they're getting really hardcore with India. I mean, they have
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just not
shut-
letting Australians back in.
No. And that's a big stink, apparently. There's a whole lot of people
But
that are
it's,
pissed.
yeah, it's illegal, I think, for apart from anything else, but yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe that we're still doing this. You know,
Well, India is in a terrible state.
Yeah.
yeah, they are.
Nepal as well. I don't know.
Really?
We're getting a lot of stuff
Which-
from our colleagues in Nepal that it's
Oh, no.
basically the India.
And
is-
yeah, and Anita did say that, didn't she? Because there's so much crossing over between
Yeah.
the two. I mean, also those countries, I mean, the Muslim countries you really worry about as well now with, I mean, Bangladesh and Pakistan with
Eid.
because people like travel, like they migrate home all the time, don't they? And
Mhm.
that's just got to not happen this year.
Oh, my God.
And Indonesia too, right?
I haven't actually heard much about Indonesia. Nepal, I'm hearing about because we've lost some of our Save the Children colleagues in the past 2
Oh,
weeks.
no.
We've lost a
Oh.
number of colleagues too from my extended team, unfortunately.
What is the
Wow.
healthcare infrastructure like in Nepal?
It's terrible.
Non-existent?
Yeah, exactly. It's just as
Wow.
terrible as in India. Yeah. And I think there were a lot of migrant workers, Nepalis, that were working in India that were
Yeah.
made to go home during the India crisis. So that's some of it. But yeah, I haven't heard much about the Eid. Eid al-Fitr is the big
yeah.
Islamic holiday is on
Right.
Wednesday this week. So
Gosh.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
note
I
to self, maybe
saw
I
s-
should write an Eid one, Rosalie.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. It would. Yeah, I know it seems almost naive to say now, but every day I'm shocked at the inequality that is
Yeah.
just fueling this fucking
Yeah.
nightmare. It's
Yeah, I know
really-
we've actually talked about it just in our, staff meetings, like we're all like the Americans and the Brits are all like, hooray, life is back to normal. And everybody else literally is like, there's no vaccines in my country. Like,
Mhm.
the situation is up
yeah.
and down. I mean, it's just terrible.
Well, yeah, I saw an Indian colleague researcher from our Bangalore project on Twitter saying she made some comment, quite a barbed comment about, her Western colleagues acting as if everything is normal and wanting deadlines met and everything. And
Yeah.
so I sent her a message going, please don't, please do.
Right.
That's not
If
us.
I asked you for anything,
Yeah, please ignore me. And she was like, no, it wasn't you, it was the other guys. Of course she'd say that to me, but I did think, yeah, we do have to be mindful of the fact that it's not over yet.
yep.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
It's not, and
As we pull out our maps of the world and
Yeah,
dream about
exactly.
going everywhere.
Exactly.
But
I'm
you
just
won't be
gonna
able to go everywhere.
because I have to. That's what I do in between trips anyway. I fantasize, so I can continue doing that for an extended period.
repeat loop.
Exactly. Hmm.
Okay, well, shall we get going today?
Mhm.
Nah,
Can I just say,
Nah.
it's really nice to see everybody, because I missed you guys this weekend, and I missed you Friday, because Kate and I went and we found some fabric in a secondhand shop that we had
Oh,
fun
lovely.
in.
Oh,
Awesome.
nice.
that's great.
So you
Yes,
actually
so-
got to go into a shop.
Yes, it was intimidating, but we did it.
Woo.
But you know, first of all, anything for fabric, right? I mean.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Silk, right?
Was it the
Still on
silk that you were looking for? Or?
No, I found this insanely cool double gauze that's white and airy, and it has the cutest little tiny gold stars printed on it. I'm shitting myself just to start dyeing it. I can't wait to see what it looks like.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait to see
Hooray for
that.
you.
Well, I missed your faces, so yay.